Welcome into Breaking Bet. It is Super Bowl Sunday. I'm here with my guy, Brad Thomas. Took the week off for the Pro Bowl week, so I not spend too much time handicapping that one. We started this journey in the summertime, late August, talking about futures for teams and players and awards and all that good stuff. And, pretty much everything has come home and availed itself. But we have one more box to check. That is the Super Bowl champion of the 2025 season. Brad Thomas, welcome back in, my friend. How you feeling about the big game today?
Dude, I don't know, man. This year's kind of sucked because, I don't know if the sports books, were just trying to put too many bets in, in terms of in their menus, but it was really hard to navigate and find bets. I knew what bets I wanted, and I'm like, I can't find half of the things I know that they're going to post. And so I don't have a big list of bets this year. Also, it's two really, really good defensive teams. Yeah. So people who like betting overs, I think I have one under, but people who like betting overs, they're not going to be super stoked, right? There's not a ton of overs you want to tackle.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, so we've had 2 weeks to really think about this, and I know Super Bowl Sunday is one of the biggest betting days of the year, especially for people that are a little bit more casual, not just as fans of the game, but as bettors. It's hey, yeah, the Super Bowl's on, let's get some bets in. It's like putting a bet in for the Kentucky Derby. A lot of people don't bet horse racing outside of the three major events of the year, but it's it's a special occasion, so that's how a lot of people approach it. That's fine. That's totally fine. So the interesting thing is there's always a lot of different bets to offer, and some of it's the dumbest shit you've ever heard of in your life.
Yeah,
it's amusing, but at least what I've noticed in the last few years, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree, not only props being offered, but the prices on them, the books are trending in that predatory behavior.
Dude, yes.
Of the spectrum here. So, that's also what makes it difficult. Plus, we're 2 weeks in since the line dropped, so a lot of these numbers have gotten seamed. But I've taken a look at this and really tried to do an assessment, both mentally and both on the books and, with research. I'll just say up front, I don't think this is going to be a great Super Bowl. I think obviously it's super hyped up. I think this could be either super low scoring or I think it could be a blowout. I'm just going to preface it by saying that. I do think there's some stuff that I would be looking to take advantage of, but in my opinion, I don't think this is a Super Bowl where a lot of these props are in play. Yeah. I gave out my video on RotoWire with a few plays that I thought were worthwhile. And I think it's important to understand that, look, you like to bet on things like the coin toss or the national anthem over under time or the Gatorade color. That's all novelty stuff. That's cool. That's fun to bet on. It's just truly luck. There's no true handicapping in that.
Yep.
But I think, especially in a year like this where you have two good defenses, you have an offense that hasn't faced an opponent like Seattle's defense. Now, let me preface it by saying, yes, they played Houston's defense. But, let's be honest, a lot of these C.J. Stroud turnovers, a pick six, he threw 4 picks total, short fields, kind of threw a wrinkle into that. So for New England offense, how do they respond by saying they have to drive, 70 yards on a lot of their drives? If they don't have this great starting field position, what does that look like for them against a defense of Seattle's caliber? For the Seattle Seahawks, they're going against one of the best run defenses in football. And Milton Williams, when he's in the lineup, it's made a tremendous difference. If I'm not mistaken, I think with Milton Williams in the lineup this year, the Pats' run defense has only allowed an average of 55 rush yards per game.
Yeah, no running back has gone over 58 yards with him.
Yeah, it's an incredible number. So there's a lot of normal positions that you'd be looking to take advantage of, but today that could be a little bit more difficult. Now, obviously, I'd be remiss in saying, some of the star power, like a JSN, has certain matchup advantages, and we could be looking to target them. But Overall, what are you expecting for today's game? Like, how do you think it's going to go to start to finish? Who has the advantage? What's the matchup advantage that you're looking for one team or the other to be able to exploit and win this game?
I think it's going to be a slow, really slow paced game, right? Like, I think, the Patriots and the Seahawks have really explosive teams, right? They have really explosive teams, but neither of these defenses allow a ton of explosive plays, and they both run the ball a ton. We
Yep.
have to remember, like, this might be one of the best defensive battles we've had in a Super Bowl in a really long time, because
Yep.
normally it's like a really elite defense versus a team that has like a decent defense. But these are two really elite defenses who both get pressure on the quarterback. So I think we're going to see a lot of really slow play, a lot of underneath stuff. What was the second question you asked me?
Matchup advantages. Like, who's got the matchup advantage on either side? Like that could
Yeah,
make a difference.
I think the Seahawks have the matchup advantage on the defensive end versus the offense of the Patriots, just because of the fact that Drake May faces a ton of pressure, man, right? Like, you can't ignore that. He faces a ton of pressure, and I think there's no way to slice it other than he's going to be under pressure. Their offensive line hasn't been good enough, not against the behemoth like this. So that's where, like, I kind of sit there and I'm like, I really, really am a big believer in the Seattle team having the firm advantage on the defensive line versus the Pats offense.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, Pats offensive.
That looked like that hurt.
I haven't sneezed all day, and
That
I
looked-
start talking about the game, and I start sneezing. But against the Pats offensive line,
Over under 1.5. Brad Thomas sneeze attempts on live stream. That just
holy smack!
you go. What's up, George Pickens fan? Yep, Seahawks. All right. Well, here's the thing for me. So one thing we've talked about, especially in the second half of the year on our podcast, every week, the Seattle Seahawks offense is interesting, right? Because they've had, say, 5 or 6 regular season. I think like 5 games this year where they've gone 30 plus points in the first half, most in the NFL. But then they've also had a lot of these games where they don't even get to 10 points by halftime. So it's like they're either an avalanche or they are a bit of a flurry.
Yeah,
It's a very bizarre turn. And if you look at them to end the regular season, there was a lot of these games where they just did not do a lot of scoring in the first half. I mean, that Carolina game was 3-3 going into halftime. They only scored 13 points total at San Francisco in week 18. I mean, they dog walked the 49ers in the divisional round, and the Rams defense just didn't show up at all. So, that was a little bit more on the side of like, hey, they're coming out avalanching in the first half. Look, man, I think totally it's fair to say that Seattle Seahawks offense can score today. But how efficient does it look? Because we've seen them in a lot of games this year where, yes, they were a run first team. And we knew that coming to the year because Clint Kubiak was going to be doing a lot of ground control. They wanted to bring the run back to Seattle's offense. That was one of their goals, and then have big play actions off of it. And they've had success doing that. But sometimes they get a little bit too run heavy and don't
yeah.
utilize JSN and the other weapons in the pass consistently enough throughout the game. So what I want to know is if New England's run defense continues to hold and there's not a lot of running room, how early does Clint Kubiak start calling these shots downfield? How early does he start dialing up JSN? How often? Because in my opinion, Super Bowl today, JSN needs 15 targets at a minimum today. What is he involving Rashid Shaheed in? AJ Barner, Cup Daddy. How many of these guys are getting involved early and often? Are we going to see some real pass attempts coming out of Sam Darnold's hand early in this game? Because that's going to be what sets the tone. If you're the Seattle Seahawks, you need to build that lead and let your defense just honestly dismantle the Patriots offense. I mean, Drake May's the truth. I love Drake May. I loved him at a UNC. You know me. I'm not a big college football guy. I know you are.
Yeah.
But I saw Drake May play a decent amount at UNC, and I loved what I saw. I think he's the real deal. I love Drake May. But this is a different stage, bro. This is your second season as an NFL starter, and you're in a game that you've never been in of this magnitude. So against a Seattle defense that can apply pressure that is balanced and just dominant at all three levels.
Yeah.
How does that look? So I personally expect Seattle to be able to play the defensive game plan they've been all year, force a couple key mistakes, and honestly, I think they're going to be able to thrive on the play action today. I think as long as Sam Darnold doesn't make any critical mistakes, they're going to be able to move the ball.
I want to answer your question about how long does McDonald stay patient. I think he stays pretty patient. I think this is one of those games where you saw it against the Texans for the New England Patriots, where the Texans probably should have won that game, but CJ Stroud couldn't take care of the ball. He knows that if his offense takes care of the ball, they're going to score enough to beat the Patriots. If it's not working immediately, if it's not working by the end of the first half, I think you just keep with your game plan. Unless it's like obviously like the Patriots up 14, then it changes. But I think this is one where you keep everything in front of you because you have and I firmly believe both of these coaches believe in their defenses too.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point, man. It really depends on how this game starts. I think Seattle is going to continue to run the ball. That's what they do. And look, it's obviously a shame that Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL a couple weeks ago because that was a big 1-2 punch. And there was games this year where Kenny Walker couldn't find a lane and Zach Charbonnet was ripping. And then the other game, Zach Charbonnet couldn't find a lane and Kenny Walker was ripping. But it was a really tough 1-2 punch to defend, keeping both backs fresh, offering a little bit of a different look to defenses. And now Kenny Walker's got to shoulder the burden. I mean, look, man, I think ultimately Seattle is just going to have to be super efficient with their passes because I would imagine New England's going to be able to load the box. They feel comfortable with their secondary to be able to match up here. But I'm expecting from the Seahawks defense perspective to be able to apply pressure to Drake May. Like how much pressure can you force on Drake May? And then when that happens, because Brad, this is a point that I wanted to bring up that could ultimately play a big part in this game is Drake May's legs. So I'm looking at it now. This year, the Seattle Seahawks surprisingly ran man coverage one of the fewest percentages, only 15.2%. Only the Cardinals, Rams, Raiders, Chargers, Panthers ran it at a lower clip than Seattle. Seattle's an 80.4% zone coverage team. That's a lot of zone coverage. They ran the third most zone coverages this year. So a lot of times with man coverage, you have guys lining up across the field, and there could be a seam for Drake May. So now with the zone coverage, ideally you're looking to keep him in the pocket and keep him from using his legs to make these big plays. How does that look in terms of defending him, you think?
Man, it's already a really efficient offense, right? It's already a really efficient passing attack. Let's put it that way. I think it makes it tougher, right? I think it makes it more difficult though on Drake May.
His line is 35.5 on the rush, by the way. Hold
on. It's a big number. I want to quote this. I want to make sure I pull up the right thing. Connor Allen posted something that I thought is really
shout out to Connor Allen. Connor Allen, very, very sharp football mind.
Yeah. So I think this is a good bet that kind of goes along with what you're saying. What we're saying. Drake May under 67.5 completion rate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's going to complete a lot of passes, right? The defense becomes a little bit more tough. And he's also going to have to be under pressure while this is happening. He's posted 47%, 58%, 59% completion percentage against Denver, Chargers, and Houston. I thought that was a really compelling bet. That I agree with that. I was going to take his under completions, and this was like, I don't know what the line is. This must have been like Tuesday. I was going to take his under completions or Monday or whatever, and it was 19.5. Like, he could throw the ball 40 times. If they find themselves behind, I'm like, nah, I can't do it. Let's see what it moved to now.
Well, while you're looking for that, the interesting thing is
20.5 now.
He got sacked exactly 5 times in all 3 playoff games against the Chargers, against Houston, against Denver. 3 teams with really good defenses.
Yep.
And it turns out Seattle might be the best of all of them. So, I mean, we've seen this pressure, that Drake Mays had to deal with. And now you have the Seattle Seahawks, who, I mean, we could probably say might be the best defense in the NFL. Definitely interchangeable 1-2 with Houston.
Yeah.
Um, it's a compelling argument for sure. Let's actually see here. I'm actually curious about this. So, okay, that's interesting. So like I said, the Seahawks don't play a lot of man coverage. They played 15.2% to the Texans 20.1. So the Texans were a big zone defense as well. We saw how well the Texans defense played this year. And in a game like that, Drake May only rushed for 10 yards on 4 attempts.
Yeah.
So he didn't run as much. He was a little bit more zone focused on their defense. Whereas the Broncos, they're running 32.1% man rate, which is a big jump. He gashed them for 65. And, the Chargers, they run the second fewest, but I'm actually curious because I think the legs are going to be a big part of it, especially for May.
Yeah.
Like young quarterback, like what is he going to do when he gets in trouble? He's going to be looking to take off. So there's definitely a lot of questions to be answered. But Brad, let's go on here and talk about the line. It's been 4.5 for most of the 2 weeks. There were some 3.5s, got steamed up a little bit, and it's been settling around this 4.5. Do you think this is a fair line? Do you think it should be closer to 5.5, or what does this look like for you?
I think that it's a real protective line, but I think the Seahawks win this by margin, right? And just like going over, I'm going to do some comparisons of the most simple team statistics, right? Offense versus defense. And obviously I know there's a lot more that takes place than just team statistics, right? There's some mental aspect of it, right? Sure. But let's go Patriots offense. 5th in offensive DVOA, 4th in EPA per play, 10th in success rate, 4th in yards per play. Now let's talk about the Seattle defense. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Then on the flip side of the ball with the Patriots defense, 12th in defensive EVOA, 5th EPA, 13th in success, and 7th in yard per, right? Then we talk about the Seahawks offense, 8th, 10th, 7th, 6th. Both sides of the ball, just from a team statistic standpoint, the Seahawks are better. And this is not like the Patriots team 5-6 years ago, right? Like this, they don't have a bunch of veterans on the team that have been to a Super Bowl. Yeah. And so I can't say the Patriots are going to lean heavily on their experience, right? And now it just comes down to who do you think is going to execute at a higher level in a really tough game, Sam Darnold or Drake May? And then that is a decider to me in the points in the point spread, 4.5 to 5. I slightly leaned Seahawks, man. It's crazy. This line moved up
hold on.
Got bought right back down.
Wait. You said slightly, but you said you think Seahawks by margin.
I have a slight lean that okay. This is what. Let me clarify my statement. I don't think Seahawks barely cover the spread. If Seahawks are covering the spread, they win by 10 plus. Gotcha. If it's under 10, Patriots are going to cover. That's what I mean by that. I think it's not going to be one of those where 6-point game in the 4th quarter, Patriots fail to convert.
All right. I feel like, in all honesty, the Seahawks have a better chance to blow New England out than New England does have to win outright. I just think there's a ton of matchup advantage. The only way Seattle doesn't win this game is if Sam Darnold was on some CJ Stroud bullshit in terms of ball overtime. The critical mistakes, obviously that's going to swing the game. If Sam Darnold plays anything close to what he played against the Rams or the 49ers and as a game manager makes a couple plays, doesn't make the big mistake, I think Seattle's going to win by 2 touchdowns. That's the only way Seattle doesn't blow them out, is if Sam Darnold makes mistakes.
Yep.
That's the only way. Now, look, even though Seattle's defense is dominant, do I think New England can score a little bit? Yes. And like I said, I'm not talking about New England scoring a touchdown off a drive they started at Seattle's 30-yard line. I'm talking about if New England consistently has to start on their own 30, own 25, I don't think they score more than 16 points today. And I say 16 because we always see some bullshit 2-point conversions in the Super Bowl. I think 17 points at a max if they have to start on their own 30 consistently all day. That's the big if.
Yeah.
Because Sam Darnold played out of his mind against the Rams. He looked probably the best we've ever seen him look. And he had some great games this year and some great games last year. But in such a big moment, I mean, he was just eating up the Rams defense. Obviously, there's a big difference between the Rams defense and the Patriots defense. Big difference.
Yep.
But that's what Sam Darnold's got to be. And let's address this because we've talked a lot about Seattle this year. Don't get cute. Don't not get JSN the ball. He needs to be involved the entire game. He needs at least 4 targets a quarter. I said 15 targets for the game. Bro, I think this is the guy. He is the offensive player of the year. He's been eating all year for a reason. Now, I like Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis. I think they're good corners. But let's be fair. If you look at the receivers they faced this year, Tyreek Hill week 2, he ate. Drake London dry humped them up and down the field when Atlanta went to New England earlier this year. Jalen Waddle had a big game. They didn't face Jamar Chase in that Bengals game. Chase was out. Chris Olave had a good game against them. He almost hit 100 yards. Zay Flowers had a good game against them. So when they faced the better receivers this year, which, by the way, none of them are as good as JSN. I mean, Tyreek Hill, look, maybe a couple years ago, we're going to say, yeah, he's better than what JSN had this year. But, in terms of overall talent at the receiver position, none of them are as good as JSN. And a lot of these guys did really well against this New England defense. But the main point of emphasis here is, especially if you don't really watch a ton of Seahawks games, they are not the type of offense that's going to just have JSN line up out wide on an island all day versus Gonzalez. They're not going to do that. They're going to have him lined up out wide. They're going to put him in the slot. They're going to line him up tight. Clint Kubiak's even going to put him in the backfield for a couple plays. It's a ton of pre-snap motions. They're going to move him all around the formation. So look, Gonzalez might shadow him today. Maybe they pass him off to Carlton Davis on some snaps. I don't exactly know what their plan is, but I just think it's going to be tough for one guy to stay with JSN all day.
Yeah,
it's hard, especially if JSN gets the volume. If he gets the targets, I don't see how he doesn't have a big game.
I agree.
I mean, unless New England's front just disrupts the Seattle offense and they can't get anything going in the pass, they don't have time to throw. That's pretty much the only way.
Let me pull this up real quick.
JSN has been an absolute menace this year. This is the JSN legacy game today. I'm expecting JSN at least 7 catches, at least 90 yards, at least a tutty. I think he's got to have a big game for them to win. I mean, he doesn't have to. Seattle's defense can shoulder the burden. But, realistically, you would think that in order for Seattle to put up a good offensive showing and win this game, JSN's going to have to be a big part of it.
Yeah, the Patriots run a lot of single high, right? And that's just a lot of one-on-ones that JSN's going to have the option, the ability to beat. Yep. And it's crazy because you think when you think of JSN and you see these massive output total games, right? Against San Francisco, 122, 32 against Tampa, 162 against Jacksonville, 123. Let me find another one, 167. You would think that these are all these massive bombs down the field. Yes. And a couple of them he had 40-yard catches. But they're not. The yards per target is not all that high. It's just him winning these matchups and him finding him in that second level, which if you're playing a lot of single high, you're going to lose a lot of these matchups to a guy like JSN. I thought I thought he would be a fun guy to bet for most receiving yards. And then I went and looked at the prices and it was
minus 200.
Yeah, it's like minus 180, minus 190. And then I saw this stat where like he has the fifth highest receiving total in a Super Bowl, and most of those guys went under. It kind of made
That's
me
a big total, though. And what people don't
it's a
realize,
big
like,
total.
the game in and of itself is the same. It's the same game, but it's the moment. And it's not just the players that start out a little slow. A lot of times they play tight. They're very close to the vest. It's the coaches. You don't want to
Yep.
make the big mistake early, so they get a little bit conservative. We've seen this a lot in recent Super Bowls where these first quarters, these first halves are lower scoring. And there's not a ton of big plays because you don't want to make the mistake. You want to get conservative. It's like a boxing match that's going to go 12 rounds. You know,
Yep.
the first few rounds, you're not looking for the knockout. You just want to feel out the opponent and, just keep going, get into the next round. And I think that's what we ultimately could see. I do agree with you. I think 93 and a half, because I think it was like 95 and a half. It's a big number, but he could hit it. Like,
He
that's
could. I mean, and like, there's nothing to say that he couldn't just go absolutely berserk in this game either, right? Like,
but it's, is he going to get the volume? I mean, that's in my opinion, probably the biggest question is what is the volume? Because despite the fact that JSN has had an incredible year, I'm actually curious because I always like ask this question every week and I just couldn't get an answer, but realized that, say you're comparing JSN versus Puka, you're comparing a receiver who is on a run-first offense, who doesn't get the consistent volume from a week-to-week perspective that, say, a Puka does, who's on a pass offense. JSN, he's had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So about half his games in the regular season. Well, a little bit more. 9 of the 17, he's had double-digit targets, which is good because that's the person that you need, but to eat. But he hasn't had more than 14 targets in one game this year.
Yeah.
I mean, but like you saw last week against the Rams in a shootout, 12 targets, 10 for 153 and a touchdown.
Like when do you what needs to happen for him to get that kind of target share, right? Like, I mean, not target share, that amount of targets. Like, I saw like some bets where it was like, do you want to bet JSN to break the target, the reception record? And I was like, to break the reception record in a Super Bowl, they would have to be down. They have to throw 2 pick sixes early in the game, and he would have to haul in every target but one. Like, there's just no way it happens. I don't know. I just feel like it's just easier for me just not to bet JSN than touch him at all, right?
Well, here's why I'm gonna disagree with you. I think JSN's gonna have a good game. I really do. I think he's gonna have a big game. But
you think he eclipses the 100?
I think he's right around there. I think he's right around there. So here's why I like this. Look, I think Seattle is going to win this game. I think they most likely cover. I would even flirt with playing an alt spread of like minus 9.5 to see if they cover double digits. And I'm not saying the Patriots don't have a chance, but like I said before, they have a chance if a very few specific things happen, which primarily result in Sam Darnold turning the ball over or somebody on Seattle turning the ball over. Like how the Rams had that ridiculous muff punt that honestly cost them the game, like that kind of shit. Like as long as that kind of stuff doesn't happen, or the refs, it doesn't turn into a ref show where like England was getting these blessed calls against Denver on these deep pass interference calls, like stuff that turns field position, turns the game. Keeping that relatively neutral, I think it's a big advantage for Seattle. I mean, you look at New England's path, man. They haven't beat one winning team in the regular season outside of Buffalo. Like they faced a Denver team, which we could play the ifs. And look, man, I get it. Denver or New England beat who was in front of them. That's what good teams do. Not taking anything away from them because we talked about New England all year. I remember every week we were saying like we can't keep betting against them. They keep showing up and they keep delivering. So, at some point, let's see, what's this? Looks like nothing like Mac Miller. Get out of here. Chubby Mac Miller, fuck out of here. That shit.
Well, listen, there's no diss to be chubby Mac Miller. Mac Miller was a freaking drug addict, He was skinny as shit.
But I don't know, man. I think realistically speaking, this is a Seattle spot. But I'm gonna go on further. I'm not betting Seattle -4.5. I don't really have much interest. I'm sticking strictly to the Super Bowl MVP. I'm going right to JSN Super Bowl MVP at +550. Because here's what I think, right?
Yes.
Say Seattle wins something like 21-14, right? They're 23-17. If Jason has, say, 7 for 90 and a touchdown, and Darnold goes 240 for one score and no turnovers, Jason's got the pedigree. He's offensive player of the year. He's been a dog all season long. 7 for 90 and a touchdown, I think could be enough to get the job done if Darnold doesn't have too big of a game. And
Yeah.
you look at recency, the recent 7, 8, 9 winners of the Super Bowl MVP. The quarterbacks have primarily taken that, but that's because it's guys like Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes and actual superstars. Jalen Hurts had an amazing game, but Sam Darnold, he's not really thought of as that guy. Like you saw, even in the Super Bowl with the Rams played the Bengals, Cooper Kupp won that MVP.
Yep.
So I mean, if Sam Darnold goes out there, goes 250, 2 scores, no turnovers, Jason has 7 for 90 in the score, I think it's a legitimate argument. I understand the quarterback usually gets those kind of awards, but I just think what Jackson Smith and Jigba has done this year, it's really a question. I think +550, bro. +550 is way too big. I think JSN should be closer to 3-1.
Yeah, I think it's big. I think it's a pretty big number.
So that's the bet I'm taking today. I'm not playing around with the spread at Seattle -4.5, even though I do think they do cover. But I'll say this though. I was talking to one of my buddies this morning, and I mean, unless he's watching this, he doesn't know I did it. He's talking to me about Milton Williams as a Super Bowl shot if New England wins. So obviously, it's harder for defensive players to win. It's only there's only been like 2 defensive players that have won in the last like 10 years.
Yep.
Malcolm Smith, Von Miller. Was there anybody else?
No, because what's his name? Darius Butler should have won, but
Milton Williams, right? For defensive linemen to win, obviously New England's got to win, but he's a disruptor. Like he had a big Super Bowl last year, or 2 years. Well, the Eagles played the Chiefs. That was last year, right?
Yeah.
He had a big Super Bowl. So if he has a couple sacks, a forced fumble, and it's a lower scoring game, and New England wins, like there's a shot. I mean, the point is he's 225 to 1.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, you know what? Let me throw a little bit of a sprinkle on there. I think Milton Williams can be a disruptor. He can stuff the run. He could get a couple sacks, force a fumble. Like, obviously, it's a long shot. He's 225 to 1 for a reason. But I think in terms of a little bit of value down the board, I think there's a path where I could see Milton Williams be a disruptor. I mean, he had a big game last year against Kansas City. Who's to say he couldn't do that again?
Yeah, I agree. I think my bet would be JSN, and then longer down the board, like I don't know. I just couldn't think of like someone making that big of an impact whose name is big enough, right? Like they have to also have a big name. And I don't know if anybody else down the board carries that kind of weight.
Yeah. I agree. Like Kenny Walker, Kenny Walker could have a touchdown or 2, but I just think
his price is not even that good though.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of his damage would have to be done via the receiving game because it's unlikely he has a big enough game on the ground. I mean, if he had like 60 rush yards and like 50 receiving and a touchdown, maybe Ramondre 30 to 1. I think if the Patriots win, somebody's going to have a really big game for Drake May to not get it. Like Shaheed, Diggs, I don't know if I see any of these other guys. I mean, I think there's a reason why there's such a big gap between Darnold, May, JSN, Walker, and then the rest of the field. Like it's a large gap. But I think honestly, JSN +550, if you like Seattle, is probably the best bang for your buck instead of like wasting money on all these like dumb parlays involving a Seattle win. All right. Any props that you like here? Could be
Yeah, let's go to
novelty,
the
could
prop
be
board.
over under. Anything you're feeling?
Yeah, let me just double check to make sure the lines didn't move too much. Yeah, the first one I went with is Ramondre Stevenson under 51.5 rushing yards.
Okay.
And I know people are like, Ramondre's been really, really hot, but like this is an elite run defense. It's a run defense that you should be afraid of, right? Teams don't run on the Seahawks because how good their defense is. Their defensive rush rate, ROE, is 31st in NFL. Only one other team or teams rushing less against. Rush DVOA first, rush defensive success rate second. This is the best part. Yards after contact. When they are grabbing you, they're not letting you go for extra yards, right? 1.86 yards after contact, third in the NFL. Missed tackle rate, barely missed tackle. Stuff rate could be higher, right? Like I wish they had a higher stuff rate, 17th in stuff rate. But what makes that better is like, so basically without the super high stuff rate, they're still not allowing explosive runs off of that. 31 first in the NFL in explosive run rate. Like this is a run defense that you are licking your chops at, and the efficiency for Stevenson just isn't that good. Yes, he had a couple of good weeks, but I think this is one of those where he gets shut down.
Yeah. I'm gonna hit you with a novelty prop right off the bat.
Yeah, hit me.
I like to bet this every year because there's always some trickery, always some stuff that goes on with this. Over 2.5 players to attempt a pass, plus 160. It's the same line every year, plus 160 to the over, minus 210 on the under. Basically saying 3 players will attempt a pass in this game. Obviously, you got Darnold and May. If God forbid somebody gets hurt or a trick play. We've seen Cooper Kupp throw a pass this year. I think it was picked off. But I feel like one of these coaches will have some sort of gadget play in the back pocket, waiting for the right time to flip the field. And I think plus 160 for 3 players who attempt to pass is a pretty solid. It's always interesting. You never know when it's going to come out. And I think that has a pretty decent chance of hitting for the number. So for me,
Yeah, I
that's
like that. And it's not going to be a flea flicker, right? The Patriots already did their flea flicker for the playoffs.
yeah. And one of these teams has a play that nobody's seen, and they've been holding for this moment to be able to unveil.
Yeah.
I did have obviously the standard operating procedure, JSN over catches. That's something that I've played.
What is his number? I do 6.5.
Hang on, player total receptions, 6.5 juiced minus 146 to the over. JSN, I mean, dude, how am I not going to play this guy? I played it every single week this year. He's been at ATM on the catches over. A couple games he didn't hit because of game script because Seattle was blowing them out. Like there were games they were up 30 points, and he doesn't play a fourth quarter, and obviously he can't do anything about that. But I think over 6.5 catches is fair, man. You look at some of these guys like Tyreek Hill, who's at 6 catches. Olave was right around 6 catches. Yep. Flowers had 7 catches. Drake London had like 10 catches. Obviously, there's a big difference between Drake London as a receiver versus JSN in terms of overall physicality. But, some of the better receivers were 6+ catches. And I think when you're looking at JSN, who's the focal point of the passing offense, who's had such a great year and he can get open at will, and they just have so many different concepts. It was 9 catches for Lundy, by the way. So many different concepts for him. It's hard to defend. There's a reason why he had such a big year. Clint Kubiak put him in a position to be successful, but then JSN's enough of a dominant talent in order to get open. He knows how to get open, knows how to make the tough catches. I mean, this dude catches everything. So I think JSN over 6.5 catches is a solid play there. Like I said, bro, I don't really have a ton in terms of the props. I just don't know if this is going to be a big prop game. But another one that I actually did like, and they took it off the market, and it's super scummy. I saw it for like the last few days. Do you want to know what it is?
Yeah.
It was Jake Bobo have over 1.5, over a half a catch.
Yeah, I took that. It was 160 at one point.
Well, it was 180. It was 180 in the
Oh
books.
yeah, it was 180. You're right.
So you currently cannot bet Jake Bobo, at least on FanDuel, to record a catch. They pulled that. But you can record him to get over 0.5 yards. So basically, is he going to get 1 yard?
Yeah.
That's plus 172. That's a bet I would take. For him to get 1 yard.
14% snap share, back-to-back weeks.
But it's the Super Bowl. Like weird stuff like that happens.
Weird stuff happens like this. Targets in back-to-back games, 3 targets in 2 games. Super Bowl, you like to mix it up because everyone's seen everything so much. So
I think Jake Bobo over 0.5 yards is an interesting look.
I do too. I bet it. So
compare from FanDuel to DraftKings. So Jake Bobo, 1 reception yard on DK, 1+ is plus 144. FanDuel, 1 over 0.51 is plus 172. That's almost 30-cent difference. Sizable. I'd be looking at Jake Bobo today. I think Jake Bobo is going to get 1 or 2 targets. And typically they're, double-digit yards. There's a couple games where, he finished with like 1 catch for 4 yards, but they're usually looking at Jake Bobo a little bit further down the field.
Yeah.
Let's see. 6'4" receiver. So he had 1 catch for 16 yards against San Fran. He had 1 catch for 17 yards in the touchdown against the Rams.
Yeah, it's not short routes, which is really nice for the over.
Yeah,
it's not he's not catching screens.
Like he had a 1 catch 3-yard gain against the Texans. So I mean, if he's getting the ball, chances are it's going to go past 1 yard. So I think at a plus 172, that's a really big price. It's just, is he going to get the ball thrown to him, and then is he going to catch it?
Yep.
That's basically what you're betting on. I think he's going to. Anything else in terms of like Drake May yards or touchdowns or Sam Darnold?
Dude, I was going to take Drake May rushing yards, and holy smokes, man!
I know it got crushed.
They said they don't want you to take his rushing yards. You take 36 and a half.
Well, there's 35.5 available, but
that's insane.
I couldn't get with that. I just didn't think that was going to be a viable option. That's a big number, dude. That is a big number.
Dude, such a big number.
What about long shot bets? Anybody that you're looking at a little bit further down the board to score? I mean, you got Kenny Walker minus 185, JSN minus 105, Mondo Burger plus 150, Hunter Henry 230, Barner 250. Any of those guys you're looking at? Drake May 3-1 to score.
I would take something like nutty, like Cooper Kupp to score 2 touchdowns. He's already plus like 350 or something to score 1.
There's 270.
270. Oh wow, it's way down now. Damn.
Yeah.
This is what sucks about like the Super Bowl is like these lines have been freaking battered and tattered all week.
Yeah. I'll tell you a long shot I like.
Hit me.
Kayshon Boutte plus 340.
You like Boutte more than Kyle Williams?
Yeah, you would have the numbers, but what's Kyle Williams' snap share since Mac Hollins came back?
Yeah. Give me 30 seconds. Oh, they popped up. They popped up an ad on this website. That's actually hilarious. Who do you want, Kyle Williams? Kyle Williams, we'll just do so that's week 18, 46, 33, 34, 23.
What's Kayshon Boutte's snap share? It's got to be significantly higher.
So obviously he didn't play week 17, way higher. Week 18, 58, then 30, 50, 58, 53, 83, 63.
Okay. I mean, that's a much better chance. And like, look, bro, I don't think Kayshon Boutte will get more than like 4 targets,
Yeah,
but they take those shots to him down the field, man. It's just like,
they
can you
do.
catch one of them? And at the end of the day, I don't think Seattle's sleeping on Kayshon Boutte, but he's not your primary focus. I mean, you're looking at Diggs, you're looking at Hunter Henry, you're looking at Mac Hollins with the size. Kayshon Boutte, like he had 6 touchdowns this year, so he kind of flies under the radar a little bit. And I think at plus 340, this is an interesting bet to take for somebody to get in the end zone, especially at his price.
Yep.
I mean, he's going to get limited opportunities, but there's definitely going to be 1 or 2 of those shots that Drake May takes to Kayshon Boutte. And can he come down with it? I think that's an interesting long shot bet.
Yeah, I do. 3.5 is a really good price too. The only thing I hate is like someone is going to someone is going to catch the long ball. If it goes for a touchdown, I hope it's someone that we have a bet on, right?
Could it be Pop Douglas? Your boy. That's your boy, Pop Douglas. Pop Douglas is interesting to score a touchdown. All right. I actually want to bring this up because just based on a lot of people I've been talking to and some things I've seen on the internet, like there's some parlays out there that have either or both of Hunter Henry, AJ Barner to score. Who do you think's more likely to score based on game scripts, and which one would you be betting? Because they're both around the same price.
Hunter Henry. I would more likely bet him. Seattle struggles against the tight end. That's well known, and I think he's a bigger red zone target. Like the red zone, there's no clear red zone target for the Patriots, where for Seattle, like they're going to look at JSN first, then go down the list.
There's actually a pretty solid line on DK. They're doing either player to score. Like they have a bunch of parlays with or markets with either player to score a touchdown or combined touchdowns with X players, either first touchdown, like a bunch of different stuff. So they have Barner and they have Henry either to score anytime at even money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's solid.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I like the Hunter Henry look. I mean, I think if we're looking at the matchup, Seattle, like you said, it's been a funnel. Actually, just looking up Hunter Henry's recent numbers here. So 7 touchdowns this year, regular season. Caught one against the Chargers. Yeah, I mean it's solid. He hasn't gotten a ton of looks overall.
Yeah.
You look at the playoffs, 5 targets against the Chargers, 2 targets against the Texans. The Texans are tough. And then 3 targets against Denver. I mean, that was an absolute mess overall for both offenses. He had 5 targets against the Dolphins last week of the regular season, 3 against the Jets in a blowout, 7 targets against the Ravens in that shootout.
It's really difficult too to be like real gun ho about betting touchdown scores in a game that you think is probably going to trend towards the under, right?
Tim Darnold, my boys Nick Durst and Joey Cowles. Yeah, look, man, Sam Darnold anytime interception. Definitely.
If Sam Darnold doesn't throw an interception in the Super Bowl, he's a new man.
Put that in the stratosphere here. I don't want to put that out there. But yeah, man, I mean, pretty much that's all I have. I'm not betting on like the Gatorade color,
No.
what Bad Bunny's gonna wear, or any of that other bullshit. To be honest,
I think that stuff is best reserved for if you have the information. I did bet wardrobe changes over 1.5, just because dude's such a freaking big into fashion, and I imagine like he's gonna have a lot of guests, which is opportunities.
Where did you even?
I bet that on Bovada app. -105.
Of course, Bovada had that. Of course, I did. Bovada would have that. Anything else, Brad, that you like that you'd be looking at?
Man, that's all I have.
Anything special on, say, a Rashid Shaheed? to catch like a 30-yard pass or something like that?
No, dude, I didn't go crazy this year. I feel like this might be my lamest Super Bowl ever.
I think Rashid Shaheed was his longest reception. Or I'm sorry, his receiving yards is 21 and a half. Let's see what his longest reception is. It is 14 and a half. I kind of like the over there. Because Shaheed's likely not catching one of these short passes. If he's going to catch one, it's going to be a deep shot.
Yeah.
I think that's decent. But honestly, I think it's fair to circle back to what we alluded to earlier. Like, this isn't a game where I personally feel like it's going to be a prop bonanza. I think, you got a select few guys that are going to hit their overs, but I think I could see this being a large under game overall, very slow churning, at least for the
I'm on the first half under.
What's that? 20?
I got 22 and a half, down to 21 and a half, but from a number standpoint, in the first half, there's really not much of a difference between 21 and 22.
Yeah. I think that's a solid look. But like I said, it's just I don't really foresee a lot of these guys hitting their overs. I just agree with you thinking it's going to be a slower moving game. But it looks like we both have Seattle winning. Little JSN MVP magic. Need that to deliver for us one time.
Yeah, JSN. That'd be hilarious.
But that's going to do it. It's going to wrap up a very strong 2025 NFL season for us. Brad Thomas, you have been an absolute treasure. Just knowledge, expertise. Appreciate you coming on this year. We're definitely running it back in 2026. And don't forget, college baseball is around the corner. That's the big thing about the NFL ending. We've got my signature favorite sport returning on Friday the 13th. So don't forget to lock in on the college baseball VIP Discord, dubclub.win/_JohnnyVTV/ get in on it, win with me. Up 116 units since 2022. So let's ride it out. Brad, thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you locking in with us. Best of luck on your Super Bowl bets. And we'll see you back here for the college baseball next week.